let's talk about Calvin Klein.
Yes, okay. So
they've always had a very interesting advertising strategy. You're probably too young to remember the Brooke Shields one, which was very controversial back in probably the middle of the 80s. She was a teenage sort of sensation actress, model, whatever, as they used to call them. And I think she was about 16 or 17. It was a picture of her wearing a pair of Calvin Klein jeans and nothing else, and saying, nothing comes between me and my Calvins.
Yeah, these days that would be so tame. I mean, she'd already been in Endless Love and The Blue Lagoon by then, so, you know, that wasn't really the provocative aspect of Brooke Shields, the Calvin Klein ad. She'd already...
No, but it was quite provocative at the time.
Yeah, it was. But the thing is, what Calvin Klein have always done till now, and we'll describe what the ad is in a moment, what they've always done is sell pants through using the fantasy of sexual allure. Now, this latest ad, which was put on social media, is selling the fantasy that men can be pregnant. And I know this is going to upset some people. It's going to pop some transgender ideology bubbles, but men cannot be pregnant.
No.
What you have in the ad is a biological female, a trans-identified female, a trans man, who is wearing some Calvin Klein pants and is pregnant. It's a Brazilian transgender
and has
activist.
A beard, I think I'm right in saying.
Has a beard too.
Just so you can be sure.
And the thing that's really strange about this ad is they've posted it on Mother's Day. Now, you'll find that activists and organisations love using days dedicated to women to talk about trans issues. There's no better time than to force the ideology down our throat than International Women's Day or Mother's Day. But I think they made a bit of a boo-boos with this. I think they should surely have used Father's Day, because isn't a trans man therefore...
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. It gets so confusing. Is a trans man a mother or a father?
I mean, I think if you give birth to a child, you're probably the mother, aren't you?
Well, of course you are in any kind of sane, commonsensical world, but I'm not really sure what they were trying to do with this. But it is strange,
Steve
because...
points out behind the glass, it looks like a bloke with a beer gut. It does.
It does look like a bit of a dad bod.
I posted it out, and people were like, is that you? You know, I mean, that was the sort of stuff I got in response to it. But other people going, why does this bother you?
I think
I don't know, but it doesn't particularly bother me. I just think it's a bit of what I would call is taking a bit of a liberty.
OK, there's a few things that bother me about this. First of all, it's put out on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Once again, can Mother's Day just be...
For mothers?
For mothers, for women. Now, some people will say that Roberto Bete, or have you say the name, is a mother, but this is somebody who identifies as a man. I'd have thought Father's Day is the day to break this ad.
Yeah.
Secondly, you know, they're not going to sell many pants this way. I showed my teenage sons this and their mates, and they were like, we wouldn't wear Calvin Kleins now.
No.
Because pants have always been sold on the basis of sexual allure.
Yes.
Now, in the past, the advertising industry has come under fire for projecting images of bodies which are too perfect, too flawless, too photoshopped. This is going a little bit in the other extreme, where you know, instead of appealing to a big mass market, they're appealing to a very tiny niche market. Let's see what it does to their pants sales.
Although judging by the response that I got, and I got something like 250,000 views on this particular thing, because it actually was through the ages. You might have seen that particular meme. It was I think it was 2021, where they had the sort of a larger model, somebody who was a big woman, because that was trendy, and then they went all the way back to, I think, 2019, and it was a girl, a very skinny girl in a bikini. And so, judging by a lot of the reactions, though, a lot of people who would not be considered trans but would call themselves, you know, trans allies, were all going, "What's wrong with this? Why are you highlighting it?"
Well, go and buy pants and make it all worthwhile then. That's what I'd say. I personally think transgender ideology for some people is going a little bit too far. There's something about this ad, and in general in the whole movement, that is asking us to lay aside some common sense, some biological reality. It's almost got a kind of a quasi-religious status where you can't question it.
No, you're not allowed.
You can't. I mean, you know, just as religion, you know, Christianity asks us to believe in a virgin birth, the Calvin Klein ad is asking us to believe that men can give birth.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of questioning this ideology, there's a shocking story in the Times today about a sixth former who's basically been hounded out of her private school for saying that biological sex is real. And one of the teachers at the school has written a sort of an expose account of this, published on a fantastic website called Transgender Trend, which provides very common sense advice for parents who are worried about it and for schools. And this teacher says that the sixth form girl who said that biological sex is real was treated like a heretic, and a whole large group of sixth formers.
Time, isn't it?
It is. You know, they turned on her, they shouted at her, they spat at her. She had to be in the library for her in safety. She has ended up leaving the school.
Wow.
And the staff have not stood up for her. So it feels like if you go against it, and what a brave girl at that young age to say something as controversial as biological sex is real, the results can be life destroying.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's gone too far, and it's acquired a quasi-religious status. If you cannot argue with it, you're talking about dogma.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. And what a very, very good point at which to end, because we are literally 5 seconds away from having to stop. Laura, thank you very much indeed.